If you've got a distillery that's getting its water running down a hill that's covered in peat, then it's going to draw the qualities of that peat, and that's going to come through into your final spirit. If you're a distillery, as we are today at Glengoyne, we've got a hill which is 1,200 feet behind you, and there's no peat at all on that hill. So the water which comes down to us has very neutral flavours. It's very clean, it's very fresh, and it's very cold, and that's what we're looking for at Glengoyne. What we're looking for here is something that's going to have very little impact to the final spirit, because what we're about at Glengoyne is a real taste of malt. We want our barley to come through the flavours. We don't want the water to be one of the major influences. So it's very neutral to us. We just need a lot of cold water here at Glengoyne.
Yeah, I think it does slightly. I don't think it's as big as maybe 4 to 5% of the flavour when we come through the water. I definitely think it does influence. And also with peaty water, you have a different pH, and it's kind of softer, harder water. That influences will affect the flavour as well.
Years ago, we would have said that the water was very important, because that's something that everybody believed. It's something you like to believe. Now, the water will have an effect on the quality. In Scotland, we have beautiful soft water, but it doesn't actually affect the flavour of the whisky. Talisker is known for its peatiness. Now, that peatiness all comes from the malting of the barley. When the barley's soaked and then dried, it's dried over peat fires, and this peat smoke is a very distinctive, a very aromatic smoke, and this imparts its flavour into the barley, and that's what gives Talisker its peatiness, not the water.
Your water, Graham, at Glenmorangie is famously hard, and they describe it as mineral rich.
That's right, yes.
Do you think that makes any difference, any contribution to the flavour of the whisky?
It's one of those great one of the great things about whisky is that there are no rights and wrongs, there are only opinions. In my opinion, I would say yes, it does make a difference, but it would be very difficult for me to prove that. We believe that the minerals in our water will affect the way that the yeast reacts during fermentation, and because that's where some of the character is actually born in whisky. If we were to change it, it could affect it. It's one of those things that it's extremely difficult to say how much effect that would have, but it's a chance we're not willing to take, just in case it does spoil it. Yeah.
Do you find any of these residual minerals if you do a chemical analysis of the new make spirit?
Not particularly, no. I think that the distillation process obviously removes most of them. Yeah. I haven't actually done an analysis on that specifically for that purpose, but you would imagine the distillation process would remove them. So it's really the building blocks created before that would be the important ones, and that's where the minerals. There's no way that I could pick up a glass of Glenmorangie and nose or taste minerals. If I could, I would probably be master blender as well as distillery manager. But
do you get much scaling on the inside of your stills, or is it, that's really calcium, I suppose, that would
Well, we do, not so much in the stills. What the normal area for finding limescale build-up because of the hard water is in the water heating tanks. But we swap our tanks over every week, so the sweet sparge going back for the third water softens that. So by doing that each week, we don't have any problems with it at all. No?
Yeah, yeah. And tell me one other thing. I've heard it said that if a whisky's made with hard water, you're better to in the glass reduce it with hard water rather than standard Scottish soft bottled water. Have you ever done that experiment?
I've done lots of experiments by softening it with hard water, soft water, sparkling water, and it's good in all conditions, I would say.
You would say that.
I would.
I think it's got a contribution. The water does have a contribution. You can see at the moment outside, I mean, we're chucking it down at the moment, and the water, as you see, coming down. Our water supply is about 3 miles away from the hills. Again, it's very, very peaty, as it is over on Isla as well, next door. And it is, I mean, it's a good quality water. I think it has a flavour influence as well. I had to quantify exactly what it'll give the whisky, but I'm sure it's, you know, between 5 and 10% of the flavour will certainly come from the water. It has to be a certain, you know, soft water, be able to process sort of easily as well. Because what we do with the water as well, we basically just sort of pasteurise it, we boil it just before we use it in the process. So it has to be the quality that we can, that can be used easily in our process.